Hello and welcome. You are watching News 9 live. I'm Krishna Kumar and I'm being joined in the studio by my friend and colleague Suyash Maheshwari. 24 hours after exit poll results were announced across the board and the Indian stock market scripted history. The benchmark indices, both the Sensex and the Nifty, closing the day's trade up over 3%. The Sensex scaling the 76,000 peak, crossing the 76,000 mark, while the Nifty conquering the 23,000 mark. Those are the numbers on your screens. Nifty 3.25%, Sensex up 3.39%. Sensex in fact closing in on the 76,500 mark as well. Nifty mid cap up 3%, Nifty small cap up 2.5%, and India's volatility index down 14.89%. What a day it has been for India's stock markets. The positive momentum bubbling over. Bear in mind, both the Sensex and the Nifty had something called as a gap up opening, which means even before they open up for trade, they were already going to be up. And Sensex opened up with a gap up opening of around 2,800 points. That's the kind of positive momentum that the Indian markets began with. And the good news is that there was no let up in that momentum. Both the Sensex and the Nifty continuing their upward trajectory all through the day's trading session and ending with lifetime highs. Suyash, that is the story, isn't it? One is the fact that everybody expected that those overwhelming exit poll results will see some great impact and great momentum on the last street in the Indian stock markets. The fact that they sustained that momentum from opening to close is indeed the big story.
It's actually a big story, and today's rally overall, Krishna, I mean, it was a unilateral rally. We saw buying across the board, not only Nifty, Sensex, the mid-cap index, the small-cap index, Nifty Bank, all of them hit a fresh record high in today's trade. I mean, the color of the day was green, just like my jacket over here. And, really, I think the market was, celebrating the fact that the exit polls suggest a sweeping victory for the incumbent government, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led NDA government. Now, the polls, at least the exit polls, which are not exact polls, by the way, wait for that, the result comes out tomorrow. They indicate that maybe the tally this time around could be around the 350 mark. Some polls, 3 to be exact, have also predicted 400 par for Modi. And I mean, if that happens, I mean, are we moving towards 24,000? That's a big question to ask. But again, I think the biggest of them all is how will markets open tomorrow, Krishna? That is the entire story, right? What will happen on counting day? Will the markets be volatile? Because remember, last time in 2019, right after the exit polls, Nifty surged by about the immediate Monday, by the way, Nifty surged 3.7%. But when on the counting day, we saw a rally of about 1.5%, and then the market ultimately ended up settling in the red. And again, the numbers were much better with what the street was expecting in the first place. So we could see perhaps some bit of volatility taking place, some bit of profit booking taking place come tomorrow. And again, the market is really paying close attention to what that final tally is going to be for NDA.
What that final tally is going to be for the NDA and the BJP, a lot is riding on that, because that will determine how the markets go starting tomorrow, so to speak. And to get a better sense of understanding of how the markets are going to behave, we have with us some very special guests. We have Mr. Gaurang Shah, Senior Vice President, Geojit Financial Services, joining us on this broadcast. Thank you, Gaurang. We also have Mohit Gang, co-founder and CEO of Moneyfront, also joining us. Thank you, Mohit, for being with us. Gaurang, let's begin with you. Suyash made a very important point. Look at what's happened with the markets a day after exit poll results came out. Both Sensex and Nifty up 3%. Record gap up opening, record close, record peaks being scaled. Come tomorrow, is there a chance that there will be some bit of profit booking and consequently some bit of correction?
Thank you very much for having me on the show, and good evening to all of you all. So first of all, I'll request Suyash to wear his green jacket very often so that we have more pleasantries to share. But having said that, this is my personal opinion. We've tracked many elections. We've seen many of the exit polls. What I have noticed is that by and large, the direction in which the exit polls tell you as to who's going to form the government, that has come through right on the dot. The question is, what are the number of seats? We'll have clarity tomorrow over there. And, as it is by and large said, between 350 to 370 to some saying 400, 400 par. Well, if that's the kind of picture that we are going to see tomorrow, then definitely there is going to be a leg up. No denying about that. But at the same time, history also tells us that post the news being out in the public domain, markets do tend to retract a little bit, retrace a little bit in terms of profit booking. And I will also say one thing, that in this euphoria of exit polls, one number that we have forgotten to discuss about is the GDP number that we saw last week on Friday. Financial year 24 ended at about 8.20 GDP growth. Fourth quarter GDP growth for FY24 was 7.80, which is much, much beyond the estimates that the economists had. And I'm quite sure that we will continue that run rate. So life will be there beyond tomorrow. You and I will be there, markets will be there, and there will be plenty of opportunities to create portfolio. Then, of course, we'll start discussing about monsoon, first quarter numbers this financial year, and the budget. That's going to be the priority. So we have been in a growth trajectory, and I hope we will continue to be there for many more years.
Right.
Gorang over here made such a good point. I mean, we have so many good news to, really understand and factor in, that we are actually forgetting the GDP numbers that came out much ahead of what the street was expecting. Fourth for the March quarter as well as FY24. The GST numbers also came out, 1.73 lakh crore. I mean, on a year-on-year basis, that's a 10% growth. Month on month, yeah, certainly decline. But March is typically a good month for GST collection anyway. Krishna. Yeah,
very important data points over there. It's not just about the exit polls. The markets are not just, looking at the exit polls. So many factors over there. But clearly, the exit polls is a huge factor, especially over the last 24 hours. Mohit Gang is also with us. Mohit, your quick take. What's going to happen come tomorrow? Is there going to be another gap up opening? And more importantly, if markets keep continuing their upward trajectory, will they see a correction by the end of trading day tomorrow?
Thank you so much, Krishna and Suyash. And honestly, what a day to be on your show today. I think it's a record day for the markets. It's a bazooka, right? And I think markets is clearly anticipating a continuity of Modi tsunami. Modi 3.0, and which is what market is quite bullish about. Look, I think I anticipate two kind of scenarios tomorrow. Honestly, look, as Gaurang said, I kind of agree with that the direction is pretty clear. The magnitude is something which we will all come to know only tomorrow, right? And I think magnitude will decide the fate of the market only for tomorrow, just for that one day. My sense is if let's say BJP standalone were to cross a number of 325, then I think that's a big plus, because no incumbent government or no sitting prime minister has repeated this feat 3 times over, other than Jawaharlal Nehru, as we all know, and that too with a higher margin every consecutive election, right? So I think he will make a record of sorts. And globally, internationally, we see so much of turmoil around. We see so much of incumbent governments facing so much pressure. I think one political figure in the largest democracies in the world standing so tall and gaining popularity, gaining momentum every election is a massive mandate. If that were to happen, my sense is market might again give us a positive surprise tomorrow. If BJP were to stand alone and somewhere between 300 and 303, which was I think the last number, to around 320 or something. My sense is market might just show you a little bit of a sideways movement, because as Gaurang rightly said, sometimes markets tends to buy on rumor and sell on news, right? And that's a typical theorem in markets. People tend to book profits when the news is confirmed. So that little bit of profit booking cannot be denied. But my sense is the trajectory is very clear for markets, and trajectory is very clear for the country also. I think it's time to be long India and nothing else. If you are an investor and not a trader, then nothing to be worried about. For next 3 to 5 years, I think this is the golden age of investments. This is the age when everyone should be concentrating on creating their personal wealth and creating their personal portfolios and making the most of it.
Right.
If someone who's sitting by the sidelines and misses this, I think he'll miss a glorious time in India's destiny.
Fair enough. That's a message to all the retail investors, the individual investors watching this broadcast. We're going to continue discussing this and continue helping all those investors out there, participate in India's growth story. But for now, we're taking a very short breather. We'll be back in just a jiffy. Don't go anywhere.
$20,000 people dead and counting. What's happening in the United States of America is unprecedented. You will have to pay for this.
One of southern India's largest cities is facing a water crisis in Bengaluru.
Water is constantly not coming. From the past 2 months, we are not having some water also.
The citizens deserve water security at the very least.
We are going office without a bath. The acute water shortage really leading to citizens resorting to use of even private water tankers in multiple areas.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
You're watching News 9 Live. I'm Krishna Kumar, and we are tracking the phenomenal day that's been for India's stock market. Sensex Nifty shooting up above 3% each and hitting all-time record highs. I have with me in the studio Suyash Maheshwari. Suyash, the question at this stage is simple. Yeah, it's great news that markets are booming up and up and up. It's great news. It's a great voice of support for India's growth story. All of that is well taken. What does it mean for the investors watching this broadcast? They're going to look at it and go, hey, the markets are already so high. Are they so expensive? Should I come? If somebody were to enter the market right now, is it a good time to enter? Or should they wait for more correction to happen so they can afford some of these stocks?
Right, Krishna, I mean, if you want to take my 2 cents on it, of course, the easy answer to this question will be, wait for the market to settle, volatility will be there, but the long-term story is good, right? It's all, hunky-dory, as we call it, and India is in such a Goldilocks sort of a situation, with the economy doing super well, inflation coming off very nicely. So, a lot of positives are there to be priced in the next few days. But, so, Gaurang, I'll come to you on this because I know, I feel I'm coming a retail investor's perspective, and my phone actually all through the morning, and I'm sure Krishna's too, was pinging with people just asking, oh, we have seen a 4% rally, what now? Their conviction is completely shaken. Should we use these rallies to book profits? Should we buy more? How and what would be advice to retail investors, sir? Because they want to be, in the long game. They want to, have that, benefit from the long-term growth story of India. But in the short term, how do they, safeguard themselves from these doubts that creep in when markets scale record high?
This fear of FOMO has been there for a long time, Suyash. There are a lot of investors who are living in this FOMO kind of a situation. And honestly, for short-term investors, my only advice to them will be that please use your sense of wisdom and common sense and then arrive at a logical conclusion. If you want to be a long-term gainer, then you have to think accordingly. And I'll give you one simple number. I did this practice last year at last year's Sensex and Nifty. I calculated a return of 12 to 15% on a very conservative side on Sensex and Nifty. And I did a compounding of 3 to 5 years. I'll request you and your viewers also to do that.
So in 5 years that would double, right? Nifty would double at a CAGR of about 15% odd, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if you are a long term and your goals are very, very clear and your objectives are very, very clear, you don't need to bother about this short term perspective and the sovereign rating along with FI flows, and more importantly for me will be FDI flows, foreign direct investment. I mean, that's going to put us in a very comfortable situation and place. So rather than thinking short term and losing out, think long term and be a wise investor rather than a confused trader.
Be a wise investor rather than a confused trader. Words of wisdom coming from Gaurangsha. But, you know, Mohit, all of us are so gung-ho on the markets. We are, you know, at least at record high levels today. The markets are doing phenomenally well. Everyone is making money. It's a unilateral rally. But in my opinion, I think FIIs, they don't seem too convinced. As of Friday, the net short position in index, you know, futures was at about 3.2 lakh contracts. I mean, this is historically the highest ever short position from FIIs. And I mean, one would assume that if they are selling in the, you know, the derivatives market, they must be buying in the cash segment to, you know, a hedging strategy. But that's simply not the case. In the first 5 months of 2024, they have pulled out 1,25,000 crore or thereabout from the Indian markets in the cash segment as well. So pretty much they're doubling down. What explains, and I mean, how do you view it, Mohit?
Mohit, please unmute yourself.
Yeah. Sorry, I've had some good fortune last month to have met a couple of hedge fund guys and some foreign portfolio investors. And my sense was, look, I think their worldview of what India as a country is and how political narrative is shaping in the country is very, very different from what you and I think about it on the ground. Honestly, I don't blame anyone on this one. But the global narrative was not very gung-ho going into this election, and everyone was thinking that a third term majority for this government will be an extremely uphill task, right? And I think exit poll is currently proving it wrong, and we will only get to see the extent of it tomorrow. But my sense is, I think that was one of the biggest reasons why FIIs were so negative on the market. And I think secondly, look, FII as a fraternity, they don't like any kind of political instability. Just at the whiff of it, right? You and I can still bear with it because we have lived in this country. We have seen governments changing, coming and going, and policies yo-yoing between whatever good, bad, ugly, right? So we are kind of attuned to it. But for FIIs, for foreign investors, the minor tweak in taxation or a minor tweak can completely make or break their fortune. So I think they don't want to take any chances. And from their perspective, I think they were all waiting on the sidelines watching the game. And my only fear is once they start entering it at these levels, I think the markets might just go further crazy from where we are currently.
Further crazy from here. How crazy is too crazy is a question that you'll have to ask Indian markets going forward. We are going to be talking about them going forward here on the show as well, but we need to take a very short break. We'll be back in just a minute. Stay with us.
Start with the end in mind. You need to know where you want to reach. Every morning that we wake up, we are exercising our choice. The destiny is decided. The results are known that I'm going to win. Life of a goalkeeper is something which has always intrigued me.
When you come into a stadium, this is the highest level of pressure.
When I set out to do something, I decide in my mind that failure is not an option.
What you feel very strongly about, those are the stories to tell.
I have a mind which is absolutely restless.
Mind and body are entangled sensations.
That brings me back to golf. It's an amazing game.
This is not a perfect game. You only learn from them.
If you have a formula to a success, then you can replicate it.
I feel this is my first step. I'm starting now.
Winner is first born in the mind. I think, therefore I am. We are all about our mind.
World premiere every Saturday on News 9 Live at 9 p.m.
You are watching News 9 Live. I'm Krishna Kumar. We are talking about the Indian stock markets, which have had a phenomenal day. The question is, what will happen when the votes are finally counted tomorrow, and what will happen to them after that? Gaurangsha, of Geojit Financial Services continues to be with us. Gaurang, I'm going to come to you with a very simple question. There was talk about, Nifty hitting that 24K peak sometime soon. It looks like it could be tomorrow. It just needs to go up by another 3%. And Nifty could touch the 24K peak come tomorrow. What is your target range for Nifty at the rate at which markets are booming, and consequently for Sensex as well?
So, Krishna, like I said, we have a good monsoon season lined up according to the estimates that the Met Department has put in front of us. We'll have the earnings season for this new financial year, and more importantly, a budget which will be growth oriented, which will be generating employment, and which will be a budget that will talk about newer levels as far as the new India is concerned. So I was penciling down December 24 levels at somewhere between 24 to 24,500. And if you have to push me a little bit more and put a gun on my temple, then I would say maybe 24,500 to 25,000 by March 2025. This provided we have a decent, stable government at the center and no unforeseen geopolitical situation.
The question I have to ask before Suyash takes on is, Suyash, there's also a World Cup that's happening. There's a T20 World Cup. If India wins the T20 World Cup, are you seeing more positive momentum being added to the markets along with that as well?
I mean, I would hope so. And as Gaurang pointed out, start wearing more green jackets on more days. But Mohit, you are a registered investment advisor, and sir, speaking to you over the past month and a half during the polling phase, you suggested, like a lot of the analysts that we have been talking to here, me and Krishna, to advise, perhaps keep some cash positions at hand to perhaps deploy money. So, sir, I mean, for the next 5 years, let's say if someone has 1 lakh, I know it's not one size fits all, but if someone has 1 lakh rupees to deploy, where do they put their money and what are the themes to bet on for the next 5 years? Mohit.
Look, that's a tough one, Suyash, honestly. I think I'm more a broader market guy from that perspective. If you honestly ask me to deploy 1 lakh rupees, then I would let's say allocate it Nifty 50, 25%, Nifty Next 50, 25%, Nifty Mid Cap another 25, and Nifty Small Cap another 25. So that'll be my lakh allocation. And you can always play the contours of how you want to play this entire pack, right? So someone might not just want to play mid cap, someone might just want to play a momentum theme in mid cap. And I think that's a theme which has been playing on very, very well with the investors, right? So you might just do that, right? And on the small cap side, someone just want to play a mix of quality plus momentum. And that's again a great play to go for. But my sense is, I think large caps still considerably have some value left. Mid and small cap segments have a lot of froth, and investors have to be very cautious if they're going for stock picking out there. You have to be really very careful in terms of what you're picking and when you are picking, right? And on the large cap front, as you rightly said, look, even the FIIs, when they come back, they'll come back onto the large cap pack. Right, so I think there are some names still available out there where you can find reasonable amount of value. I'll not say there is any fair value left in the markets today, but you can still find some reasonable names at decent valuations. So my sense is large cap pack is something which investors should be a little lopsided towards.
Right, and Gaurang, I'll come to you with the same question. Do you agree with Mohit on this one, or would you prefer to do things differently with your 1 lakh?
So first of all, I hope that 1 lakh goes to 10 lakhs. And more and more people are attracted towards savings and investments and join the India growth story via direct equity investments or mutual fund SIPs or lump sum investments. So I would be more sectorially focusing. And if you ask me the top 5 sectors that one would need to concentrate, then that is going to be BFSI segment, that is banking and finance, banking and NBFCs, private and public, both strong names, autos, FMCG, cement, defense and power. And the choice would be large cap first and then select mid caps.
All right, that's the clear message coming in from our experts on the show, Gaurang Shah of Geojit Financial Services and Mohit Gang, founder and CEO of Moneyfront. I'm going to thank both of them for taking time out to be with us here on News 9 Live. Of course, so we will be tracking the markets very closely tomorrow on counting day as well. The latest updates on that front. For now, we've completely run out of time. Suyash, thank you so much for being with us. And with that, it's a wrap here from my side. This is Krishna Kumar signing off. Keep watching News 9 Live.
There are beautiful golf courses, there are well-played golf courses, there are great greens. But I think we are a combination of everything.
Now, because of the nature-friendly atmosphere here, plenty of water, you can hear the birds